You know, as you had mentioned in your video too, you don't want people to be blinded by emotion to the fact that we're, you know, to the extent that they feel like, you know, they got to scratch this itch, so they might actually support something that compromises them in the end. Talk to us about that.
I think the most important thing I want to say first is there's a misconception. People are breaking up the video, chopping it up, and making it seem like I'm telling the dad to get over it emotionally.
Right.
It's not all what I'm saying. You know, my heart was crushed when I watched the video. Literally, it was the first thing I woke up to when I got up that morning. But I've had plenty of conversations with people about guns, and usually it starts off pretty emotional because it's a very polarizing issue. However, once you break down that kind of get past the emotional aspect of it, and people stop just kind of arguing blindly, that's when the conversation really starts to happen, and people get to look at things objectively and see what really works and what really doesn't. And it's amazing what happens after you break past that point and people start to realize, okay, there's a point to this and there may be a point to that. I don't necessarily agree with you completely, but I do see where you're coming from.
Murder's illegal. Theft is illegal. We have all of these things already classified as illegal, and yet people continue to break those laws every single day. And like with this particular case in Virginia, or really with any of these cases, you have someone who has a choice. Do I want to make an evil decision and use an inanimate object to do something really evil to good people, or am I not going to do that? Of course, they make these evil choices. But sometimes I wonder, you know, the same day that this Virginia story came out, Colin, there was a story in Indianapolis where a guy carjacked a lady and stabbed her, ran over 6 people. It doesn't matter the tool. I mean, you can't legislate away free will and evil.
Yeah, absolutely. What the gun suffers from, unfortunately, is its inherent theatrics. With a gun, it's loud, it explodes, it's very theatrical in nature. So it's easy to prop it up on a screen when somebody gets shot with a gun and say, oh my God, these things are so dangerous. With a knife, it's quiet, it's very swift, it's unknown. And so there's really not much to show. But when you have a gun, it's like, oh my God, here it is. Look, you see it, you hear it. Oh my God, it's the most dangerous thing in the world. That's when the more rational aspects of our mentality start to kick in. And we're like, oh, we just got to get rid of the gun. We just got to get rid of the gun. Right. Not realizing, no, the real actor is the person who's utilizing a gun, because the same way that gun can kill is the same way that it can defend. Right,
absolutely. How frustrated are you when we miss the bigger picture every single time when something like this happens?
It's hard. It's a balance, because we all have emotions. We all engage our emotions to a certain level. But I try to consciously keep it in check, especially when I get frustrated or if I get angry about something that somebody says, because I know that the moment I do that, I lose sight of what the real issue is, and I can't communicate the thought effectively. I mean,
yeah, speaking of emotions, you got so much heat for this last video. I mean, and I know that you get a lot of heat, but this is something like unlike I've ever, I mean, people were threatening your kids. Tell me about this, because I saw like a sum of what you got, and isn't it always the people who are arguing against, you know, for law-abiding gun owners to be able to legally possess, they're the ones who hope like everybody gets shot if they disagree with them?
I've started to see a pattern in some very ultra-liberal minded individuals. I'm not saying all liberals, just very dogmatic liberals, in that they act in such a way that's very irrational. And so sometimes I wonder if, because they feel they couldn't control themselves with a firearm, they deem that no one else should be able to own one. I got a tweet after a particular article was written, I believe, by Media Matters, basically insinuating that I told the father to, in all words, in so many words, get over it.
Yeah, which you didn't at all.
I didn't say at all.
Right.
No, not at all. And so I guess the guy felt a certain kind of way about it, so he decided to tweet me. And in the tweet, he says, I hope your kids die by a gun. Now, I don't have any kids, but whether or not my kids exist or don't, I do plan on having kids in the future.
Right.
So the thought of advocating that on behalf of kids that I don't have, that's just utterly sick to me.
They're insulting your non-existent kids, Colin. I mean, come on, it's gotten to that extent.
It's bad. I mean, it was ironic. There's a beautiful irony in that he was advocating for no guns because he wants peace, yet he's advocating for my kids to die prematurely as a result of a gun.
Right.
You know, it kind of boggles your mind a little bit, but there are those people in the world. They exist on both sides, but it's sad when you see it with respect to the issue, because this is not Monday Night Football. We're not playing a game.
Yeah.
This is real. These are people's lives we're talking about.
A lot of you guys have been asking about my Pew Pew Life hats. Well, they're available today until September 11th. After that, they're gone. So click the link and get your hat today.